All right. No intro. None of that. Don't even care.
We going straight into it.
Really?
No countdown, no nothing.
Right into it. No doubt.
Okay. All
And I
right.
think, we're going to talk more so about the Sweet 16 / the Elite Eight instead of the Final Four. I mean, we'll probably talk about the Final Four later this week. I think that'd be more appropriate given the buildup that is needed to the Final Four. And I think, I don't know. I mean, how do you, before we get into the Elite Eight and the Sweet 16, how do you feel about the fact that it's pretty much an all blue blood Final Four? Even though, I mean, people talking about how there's no parity in this sport do not pay attention because there has been 12 different teams in the Final Four the last 3 years.
Yeah, I guess I don't hate it. I think it's weird, quote unquote, North Carolina is a Cinderella team. I mean, an 8 seed, whatever. The ACC has impressed me. I know that you've hated them all year, so I guess you got to take that back a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say the third best conference, maybe fourth.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't mind it. I think that we're going to see really good basketball, which is good. To be able to get Duke, North Carolina in a Final Four game. They've never met each other in the tournament at all. So to get that in a Final Four game, I think the atmosphere there is going to be absolutely insane. So I don't hate it, but, it would have been nice to see, somebody else come through. But, I mean, blue bloods are going to blue blood, right? That's what they're known for. They get there and they win national titles, unlike, Big Ten schools or something like that. So
let's talk about the Big Ten. Dead before the Elite Eight. And, Michigan loses to Villanova. I thought that would be a bad matchup for Villanova if Dickinson was having a game, and he wasn't.
What did he go, 6 of 16 or something like that? And when the biggest big that Villanova has is 6'8". So rough game for him. I sure do hate to see that.
I think the thing for Villanova is I don't really know how you can beat them when they're fully healthy because their offense, the way that it runs, I mean, sometimes there's too many passes, but also there's almost always an open shooter. And not having Justin Moore is probably going to be the death of them. But that was the one team that I was right about this entire tournament was Villanova.
Yeah,
and
you were.
I mean, North Carolina, I did pick them to go to the Elite Eight. I had them losing to Kentucky. So I guess I could say that I'm right about them technically because that's an 8 seed getting the Elite Eight. Pretty smart move by me. But I mean, I don't think Villanova has much of a chance against Kansas. I'll say that just because Justin Moore going out, you got 5 guys playing now instead of 6.
Justin Moore hurts a lot.
He's probably the most talented out of everybody that they have. I mean, they still have the toughness factor with Samuels and Gillespie and Slater and those guys, but yeah, it's going to be tough. Talking about the West region, I mean, Gonzaga losing in the Sweet 16 to an Arkansas team that really, I mean, how good were they in that game? I don't think that they were that great to beat Gonzaga.
Yeah, I think Gonzaga was just bad. And I saw a thing that, Gonzaga with shot selection or with shot quality, that stat or whatever it is, Gonzaga wins that game like 86% of the time. So the fact that they, shots weren't falling. Timmy, I'd say, had sort of an off game for him. He wasn't making the shots he usually does. But I think Arkansas, they were just more athletic is what kind of drove them to a win there. And Gonzaga just didn't know what to do with the disruption that they caused.
I think the biggest factor in that game was Nembhard was bad. He was 2 for 11, 5 turnovers. Gonzaga had 15 turnovers. That's not very characteristic of them. And the numbers, I mean, they both teams shot like the exact same. Gonzaga had more free throws, 15 that they made to 9 of Arkansas, 44% from 2 for Gonzaga, 46 for Arkansas. Gonzaga 5 for 21 from 3, Arkansas 7 for 25. So that's where not having, Suggs to go along with Nembhard and Kispert to go along with, anybody else they play in the middle. It's kind of what happened. Last year's team could cover that up. I don't think this year's team could as much.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And a big part of Gonzaga playing well was Bolton too. I mean, he had some pretty good games, and then comes into this game, 3 of 10. So they struggled all around. So when you don't make your shots, it's hard to win. It doesn't matter, how good you are. But if shots aren't falling, you're not going to win very many games.
The thing with that is that like the narratives now surrounding Gonzaga are fascinating. Like I see Wally Szczerbiak, who I think's okay at his job, but my God, they don't have that, like, what did he say? Like that championship mentality that who did he say have that? Maybe it was like Duke or something, because Gonzaga got punched in the mouth and didn't respond. Okay. I mean, you could say that all you want. They just didn't play well. Like against Memphis, they got punched in the mouth and they came back and destroyed them.
Absolutely.
So it makes no sense that you say that following a game where they were down 10 at the half.
Yeah.
That just makes no sense to me. Now, the idea that we probably should have seen this coming, I think, is semi-accurate. I think that this team was kind of, you watched them against St. Mary's, they were kind of, more susceptible to these types of games and losses than they were last year. Because last year they just got dominated by a team that was really, really clicking. And when you have 3 dominant guards like Baylor did last year, that's what happened to Gonzaga then. But I still think last year is always going to be Few's best chance until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I don't know about going forward. I think Timmy probably comes back. We all know Chet Holmgren's going to be a top 3 pick in the draft. I think Nimhard can come back. I think he's a 4-year senior, so he's got one more there, I think. Julian Strother's only a sophomore. He'll be back, I'm sure. Rasir Bolton is done, I think, unless – well, it says he's played 4 years, but I also think that there's certain weird rules and stuff. So
COVID
who
rules.
knows? Who knows who can come back and who can't. But they got 2 freshmen there, too, that were big 5-stars, Hunter Salas and Nolan Hickman. I expect those guys to play a bigger role for them next year. The bottom line is Gonzaga is going to be fine moving forward in terms of, still winning and having success. They're going to win the West Coast Conference next year. There's no doubt about it. I'm assuming Timmy comes back, though. That'll be kind of a big factor. But even if he doesn't, I still think they'll be fine. Duke got punched in the mouth early against Texas Tech. They didn't look like they belonged. And then the second half, they made every single shot. So we'll talk about Duke more later. In terms of the East region, North Carolina beats UCLA. And we'll talk more about North Carolina later because they're in the Final Four. Yeah. Purdue St. Peter's. I had a feeling, and I said this a couple times all season, that Matt Painter was holding back his own team.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's a very good coach. I really don't. I think this proves it. Like, this was his best roster ever, probably.
Yeah.
And they don't get to the Elite Eight in a region where the 2 seed went down.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
I mean, I don't know. I thought this was a game where Zach Edey would just dominate. I mean, the St. Peter's didn't, I know they have a great defender.
Casey
Indefo is a great defender, but they got him in foul trouble early, if I remember right.
So 3 early.
Yeah. So I don't understand. I mean, Edey played 16 minutes.
I also think that when he was in the game, he was making a lot of stupid mistakes he doesn't normally make. And also they weren't getting him the ball deep enough.
And he couldn't rebound.
Yeah.
He struggled rebounding in this game. Only had 2 rebounds. So.
I mean, St. Peter's had a great game plan too. Shaheen Holloway did a tremendous job all tournament, and now he's getting rewarded by going to Seton Hall, which was very predictable. I wonder if Casey Indefo follows him there. That's a 3-time defensive player of the year in that conference, which I think he would be a very good fit in the Big East.
Yeah,
but.
and they did not play well against North Carolina, but Indefo still, defensively had a hell of a game.
And the other thing with that is, like, I think the reason that I don't think very many people thought St. Peter's would be able to beat North Carolina is because I think a lot of the times these ACC teams are ready for the type of defense that St. Peter's plays.
Yeah.
They play a matchup zone a lot of times, and ACC teams see a zone every year with Syracuse. Now, Syracuse doesn't really defend, but they still run that style of defense.
Right.
So I think ACC teams are more prepared. I don't think that teams in the Big Ten are as prepared for something like that. And I mean, Purdue wasn't. And Ivy hit a huge 3 late where you're like, okay, just make them miss a free throw.
I can't believe that they let Ivy get that wide of open look at the end of the game. I mean,
He had a pretty
I
good
know a
look.
lot of people are saying, you always foul up 3, whatever.
I
But
would have.
I mean, Ivy, it wasn't that hard of a shot, and he didn't have anybody in his face. He just came up a little short.
You also, I think teams get afraid of fouling there too, like accidentally on the shot. And I think that's why a lot of times teams don't get very close to the shooter because you know that players are looking to draw a foul there.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, Shaheen Holloway, hell of a job. And the greatest Cinderella run ever. I don't think it's close. A 15 seed with that low of a budget, the whole thing getting to the Elite Eight is big time. But just, North Carolina was just better. And Purdue wasn't. I don't know what the hell happened to Purdue. I mean, Trevion Williams had a stretch there where he was taking the game over. I don't know where Purdue goes from here.
I feel like Trevion he struggled in that game. I mean, some shots that he usually makes weren't falling. Remind me a lot of the Gonzaga game where, the shots that those guys usually make just weren't going down.
I think Trevion got off to such a hot start when he came in because he was like, 5 for 5?
Yeah.
And then after that, he just kind of slowed down. But I wonder, I feel like to be successful moving forward, Matt Painter has to figure out, guard play. They're going to need to revamp the guard play.
Yeah, and they're obviously going to lose Jaden Ivey,
Isaiah Thompson in the transfer portal.
Yeah,
another guard.
And Hunter can come back, right?
Let me check.
He's just so inconsistent. Like when he's hitting shots, Purdue is so much better.
Yeah, he's a 4-year guy, so I'm assuming he'd come back.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at this, and he goes 0 for 3. Gillis goes 0 for 3 from 3, and those are guys that usually knock down those shots. Or Hunter, I guess doesn't always do it, but when he does, it would take Purdue to the next level all year. So
I mean, Hunter's 43%.
Yeah,
Gillis went all the way down to 41.
Yeah,
but
so for those guys to go 0 for 6 for you, and then Jaden Ivey just chucking up threes. Not his game.
Size is not going to be a problem for Purdue next season, but guard play is going to be something they have to figure out for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who returns, who doesn't return, but they got to figure that out. And they got to figure out how to have a coach that doesn't hold them back because he held them back in many spots. South region, Arizona goes down, Houston beats them, and then Houston can't make anything against Villanova.
Yeah, struggled. I think this is a game that a lot of people thought was coming. Houston, as a 5 seed, once again was favored to win this game by Vegas. So committee's doing a great job out there, setting up these teams. But Houston was just on a roll. They dominated Illinois. They had to feel good coming into this. Arizona barely squeaked by the game before. So this is just something that it looked like it was going to happen, and Arizona just didn't know how to handle that defense. They struggled.
No Kirk Kriisa no healthy Kirk Kriisa is kind of just it's just not going to work.
Yeah, yep, it hurts. And then Matherin had an off game, and then I felt like they didn't feed Koloko enough either, but.
6 shot attempts.
Yeah, against Houston's defense. I mean, they know how to disrupt the paint. They did it against Kofi of Illinois, and they just have a different brand of defense. And to make the run they did, without their best player is impressive. As much as I hate Calvin Sampson, good work.
The other thing with that is Tubelis goes 0 for 8 from the field. No field goals for him. I think Dalen Terry is really the only player that showed up for Arizona.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you said, Matherin was off. Koloko didn't really get the ball enough. But we were very close to seeing TCU be the team that plays Houston in this game. So Arizona was on the ropes twice, and they weren't that good against Wright State either. So it kind of proves that Kirk Kriisa was absolutely the X Factor guy for this team. And, I mean, it showed in games too. Like, the Illinois game is a perfect example.
Yeah, and when Kriisa went on that run where he couldn't make a shot is when Arizona really struggled during the regular season too.
Yep. So Arizona down. This is the only reason that I had the correct team coming out of it. I mean, we'll see what Villanova does against Kansas, but it's going to be a tough one. The Midwest region, which is a weird one. I mean, Kansas Providence game, Kansas kind of came out just all over them and then slowed down. Providence got close, and Kansas still won.
Yeah, it seemed like Providence came out and played how everybody kind of thought they were going to play the first 2 rounds, and then they kind of kicked it in the ass and got back in the game. They just couldn't. I think they took a lead, a 1-point lead, within 3 minutes or something around there. So they had a shot. They couldn't finish.
Yeah, and good run, though, for Providence. I don't think a lot of people preseason expected them to do very much.
Mm-hmm.
They had a big season, get to the Sweet 16. It's a big deal for the program. Miami, Iowa State, I mean, Miami kind of just had that style of play that just overwhelmed teams.
Iowa State had no shot.
Yeah, I thought Iowa State would win. I don't know why. I thought their defense would be able to counter some of what Miami does, but it didn't at all.
Yeah.
Miami up 7 at the half yesterday against Kansas, then just got run out of the building.
Yeah,
in the second half.
Yeah, Iowa State's just not that good offensively.
Nope.
They just didn't have much going there. They did take 12 more shot attempts than Miami, which is surprising, but they just couldn't find a way to do anything that got them going the right direction. And, Miami with 11 steals, forcing 18 turnovers. Iowa State just really didn't look good. And Miami just overwhelmed them, it seemed like.
21 assists on 26 field goals for Miami in that game. But then they come out and they're up 7 at the half on Kansas. And then they get outscored 47 to 15.
15, yeah.
In the second half. So
ouch.
A little overwhelmed. And I know that Larinaga, a.k.a. Boeheim, wanted the Hurricanes to slow Kansas down in transition. That's what he said at the half before going to the locker room, and they did everything but that. So they kind of just let Kansas get out and run and get all over them.
Yeah.
And, it was an ugly game for them in the second half. And obviously their center, Wardenberg, fouls out with like 10 minutes left. So then you're like, okay, McCormick's just going to keep going. He was 6 for 7 from the field. Agbaji finally realized, oh, wait, I'm an All-American. Maybe I should try to, do stuff.
Yeah, he didn't do anything in the first half. So.
Ended up with 18. Remy Martin's been an X factor. Only had 9 in this game, but he was tremendous in the first 3 games for them. They're good. And I don't know. They're definitely a 4-point favorite against Villanova. So people think they're going to win. I think Justin Moore's a big factor. Him being out is a lot of the reason for people thinking that. But
right.
I'm still going to ride with Villanova. I'm not going to give up on them.
No, I like that. I like the loyalty there.
I think that they're probably not going to win, but I'm going to pick them to win.
Yeah, it's like the loyalty that Pujols has after he leaves for all the money, right?
Well, that was a whole thing, a whole to do. We can forgive him for that.
Okay.
It's not like he didn't. It's not like the Angels did anything after he left. What can you do?
I just noticed that you had to wear your Cardinal gear today. So.
Yeah. I was gonna wear an Illini thing, but that just looks biased. And the season's, it's the body's not even. Come on. But I don't know. Duke, North Carolina. We're gonna talk. Let's talk a little bit about the Final Four matchups. We won't make official picks or analysis until probably Friday. But what do you? Number one, is this rigged to have Duke, North Carolina?
Sports are rigged, right? Clearly,
sure feels like it.
Yeah, rigged. I don't know. I know we didn't talk about it much, but I just want to say this: that North Carolina UCLA game was the best basketball that's been played all tournament. The way that it went, they never even took the first half. They never even took the under 16 timeout because it was flowing so well. So that was probably the most fun game I had watching. Just the way that they let them play and the ball movement and guys just making shots. I know it got a little slugged down later in the game, but I just want to throw that out there. But yeah, sports are rigged, obviously. I think this script was easily written. You put North Carolina over there with Baylor, probably the worst 1 seed there is. And then you just let them kind of roll through, get all the calls because clearly, the refs rigged it too. Was Bo Borowski doing this Elite Eight game against St. Peter's? I think so. Yeah. So, you let Bo do an Elite Eight game, that something's going on.
It's fair point. Fair point. He also did the Duke-Michigan State round 2 game.
Yeah.
So how about that?
Yeah. See, I'm telling you, it's all rigged.
And he took over the Miami Iowa State first round game too. Ref show by him there. I don't know. I feel like North Carolina matches up well against Duke, but I also think that Duke is playing with so much more confidence and making a lot more shots than they were late at the end of the season.
And this is revenge game, right, for Duke.
Yeah,
After ruining Coach K's night, the guys are probably going to want to win for him. But North Carolina, they're a weird team. They literally ran no offense at the end of the was it this game, the UCLA game, or was it the next game? Yeah, UCLA game. Yeah. It was literally just chucking up threes. The whole like last 4 minutes or something. That's all it was. Luckily, those threes fell, and that's what propelled them to win this game. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm excited that it's Duke, North Carolina. I think it's going to be fun. I think the atmosphere is going to be insane. Both have huge followings. North Carolina, I don't think it's that far from New Orleans. I don't know. But fans travel well, and they're also across the whole country. So,
do you have a rooting interest in this game?
Like, who do I want to win?
Yeah.
I probably root for North Carolina.
Yeah, I'm kind of
root for one of them.
I really want this to end poorly for Coach K.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it's because, like, when you're a coach, it is like so look at me holier than thou BS that you do a farewell tour. Okay, you're a coach, dude.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that he could play, both the teams that Roy Williams left from. So
I think that's what's going to happen.
Play Duke or play Kansas. I think that's an interesting,
And you have Roy Williams who went out with class. All right, lost in the first round last year, and then he's like, you know what, I'm done. Yeah. Not, I want everybody to talk about me, and oh man, what a douche.
Do you think Coach K's in the stands like Roy Williams is next year?
No. No way. No shot in hell. He'll just be like 24/7 on the phone with one of the assistant coaches trying to, control everything, not letting Shire do his job. I mean, it's so it just makes people hate Duke more that they had to have a farewell tour for a coach. I don't give a shit who you are. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I hope that they burn out and get murdered by a team. So that's my thoughts on Duke. And my thoughts on – now, I have no doubt in my mind they're going to win the national championship, but still, I'd like to see it crash and burn. And I hope Brady Manick has 50.
I mean, if they win it, sports are definitely rigged. So
if they win it, everybody's gonna be pissed.
Probably, except
Nobody
for
wants
Duke
to
fans.
See the losers win.
And
most Duke fans are the most fake fans on earth. Like if let's say you're in California, but there's a bunch of Duke fans in California. Like where does that how does that add up? You're in California, it's Duke. I think most normal, logical sports fans are on the North Carolina side of this rivalry. Because guess what? Name one Duke player that went to the NBA that's better than the top 2 North Carolina players of all time out of the NBA.
True. Yeah. It makes yeah, I don't know.
I hate Duke.
Glad North Carolina can get whoever they want because Michael Jordan played there. That's all I got to say.
Michael Jordan, James Worthy.
Does it really matter who coaches North Carolina? I mean, they're going to get recruits anyways.
They're going to get recruits, but do you not remember how bad that one season? I don't know. It was like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
they were horrendous.
Yeah, And I liked Hubert. He showed some emotion. He was crying, upset, not upset, happy tears. He was excited that this team came as far as they did. I mean, 2 weeks before this, you were yelling North Carolina's not getting in the tournament. Now they're in the Final Four. So
I was wrong. I was wrong about them throughout most of the season. I think a lot of that had to do with the ACC and the fact that they just didn't strike me as a tournament team for a while, and I think most people thought that. But
I tell you what, this might have been the worst Elite Eight in the history of the tournament. None of these games were fun to watch.
Yeah, Duke kind of controlled it against Arkansas. Villanova, Houston, there was no offense.
Right.
Kansas destroyed Miami. North Carolina destroyed. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
You also only had one number 1 seed in there, and a couple 2 seeds, but then you had double-digit seeds.
You think the girls' tournament's getting all 4 number 1 seeds in?
UConn's getting in, so no.
Okay.
UConn is going to take apart NC State tonight. NC State's going to wish they never even played the game.
Okay.
After what happens tonight,
I forget you're a big UConn lover. It's kind of like Duke fans out in California.
I think the difference is that nobody. I don't think that the women's college basketball community hates UConn as much as the college men's side hates Duke.
I think they adore UConn, which is surprising.
11 national titles, dude.
It's surprising that a team that dominant in women's basketball is adored, but a team that's good in men's college basketball is not.
Well, I think the one thing is that Coach K comes off as a much holier than thou, doesn't even coach anymore douchebag, when Gino Auriemma is more of a respect factor thing. Okay. Yeah, Coach K is a douche. Dang. I do not care what anybody thinks, okay? He doesn't even coach his team. He throws little temper tantrums on the sideline when something goes wrong. He's a bum.
Isn't that what most coaches do?
No, I'm saying, have you seen
whine like babies?
The gif from 3 games ago, whenever he hits the side of the chair of his 2 assistants and hits his feet on the ground like a little baby. Yeah, it's embarrassing. I'm going to find that right now and show it. Embarrassing is what it is. I mean, you talk about, I need everybody to pay attention to me. Oh, man. I mean, look at this douche. Here you go. To fire this one up.
I'm ready.
This was 2 games ago. I mean, come on. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing is what it is. God. Oh, I'd be embarrassed if that guy was my head coach. Embarrassed. Huh. Because you know what? They won in 2015, right? They won a title that year. Guess what? If Wisconsin didn't get lucky against Kentucky, that Kentucky team was not going to lose to Duke. So congrats on playing a Wisconsin team that got lucky against a Kentucky team that had 1 loss.
Wisconsin's got a pretty good luck factor, though. So
exactly. I mean, seriously, the Wisconsin team was really, really good, but come on, that's just they got lucky. Let's be honest, folks. Okay. Kentucky that year was 38-0. They weren't going to lose to Duke if they beat Wisconsin. So that was a lucky championship for Coach K. Let's look at last year. Here's another factor why you should hate these losers. Didn't make the tournament last year, but then was we were opting out of being a replacement team just to show that we have so much class. We're opting out of the tournament, even though we went 13-11. I'm surprised they didn't put Duke in. 13-11 seems good enough if you look at some of the records of some teams that have gotten in years past. I mean, come on. In 2010, they won a title. They played a mid-major team in the tournament pretty much in the championship. Okay? So congrats on those 2 titles because you've been irrelevant in terms of winning championships for most of the years beyond that. They played a Butler team that was out of the horizon that year. So I'm really impressed with the 2 championships they have since, last 20 years they've won 3. But guess what? 2 of them barely even counted. I hate Duke.
Yeah,
those are my thoughts. Enough. I mean, for sure.
I'm all right. You being a Duke hater.
Yeah, just not a fan, just not a fan. I think that, I think it's more Coach K than anything. I don't really have any ill will towards any current Duke players. I actually kind of like Bobby Hurley and Christian Laettner a little bit. I think I'm more of a When it comes to players, I like the villain. When it comes to coaches, I don't.
What about Shire, who, decided to leave his home state and go play for Duke?
Well, I hope he enjoys not getting any credit for anything he does as the Duke head coach, because that's what's going to happen. It's all going to be about, oh, Coach K did all of this, so Coach K walked so John Shire could run. It's going to be what people are saying. That's how dumb people are. God, what a fraud. Colors his hair, too. What a loser.
How do you
You're
know
like
that?
70 years old. Give up, dude.
How do you know that?
He's like 76.
Some
His hair looks like that.
70-year-olds have dark hair.
Remember when Coach K,
Jeans.
remember that year that they were bad and he just quit on his team and just left? I mean, come on.
True.
That's what's wrong with this guy. He's a fraud in every sense of the word. And ESPN's crying because they don't get this game. Crying. They'll probably air a Coach K cam during the entire game instead of actual programming. And you know what? When it comes to the Bobby Knight, Coach K beef, I'm on Bobby Knight's side. Don't even care. So, anyway.
Yeah.
I spent about as much time talking about Coach K as he would like for people to talk about him.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Good job keeping his name out there.
Absolutely. And he should have about 400 vacated wins, I bet. But anyway, 75 years old. There's no way he doesn't have gray hair. He colors it. He's a loser. He's a bum. He's from Chicago as well, so shout out to him. I'm glad that he was able to have a retirement tour, though. That's definitely not a large ego thing. On the other side, do you have a rooting interest? I'm pretty sure you do. Villanova, Kansas.
And that Villanova, obviously.
That's
because Bill
Self, another cheating loser.
When are they coming out with Kansas infractions? I'm still waiting for that.
I kind of think
how do they peg Penny Hardaway, who's been around for 3 years or however long he's been around, but they can't get Bill Self?
Doesn't the Bill Self stuff have to do with Adidas? Didn't he do something with Adidas?
Yeah, I think Adidas was paying.
Pretty egregious. And then, Penny Hardaway, FedEx, right? So there you go. Congrats to those guys. I mean, when you have a toupee and a big name like Bill Self does, it's kind of hard to get in that big of trouble. Like, I think he's going to, quote unquote, resign eventually. I don't know when that will be.
Lifetime contract.
If they suck next year, I'm sure he's going to, quote unquote, resign.
Yeah. Give it up.
Effective immediately. I mean, please. It's just such a joke. I think I am hoping so much for North Carolina Villanova national championship game, because that's a situation where I don't care who wins. I would be fine for both schools. Now, if it's Duke, Kansas, where do you go in terms of rooting?
As much as you hate him, I'll go with Coach K, so he gets the last one.
I would almost have to think about that because.
Do you think Coach K comes back if he wins a national title?
If Coach K comes back,
it's like John, you can't do this, man. I'm too good.
I will never talk about college basketball again if Coach K comes back. Ever. Okay. That would break me.
All right.
I just don't want to see that guy.
Farewell tour 2.0.
And all these coaches bending over for Coach K all season. Oh, yeah, here's your gift, man. What a joke. God.
At least North Carolina didn't do that.
What has that guy done? What has that guy done in the last 20 years in terms of actual coaching? Nothing. Okay? So that's enough with that. But I would think about rooting for Duke if they played Kansas in the national title game. Hopefully it's North Carolina Villanova, which is a rematch of 2016, right? Because 2018 was Michigan Villanova, which is weird to think that Michigan was actually in a national title game 4 years ago, and their idiot coach decided to go to the NBA. So dumb. Dumbest move Beeline's ever made. Beeline could get a farewell tour if he wanted. Now, I would be opposed to that, but if you stayed at Michigan that long, hey.
Is he still in the NBA, or is he retired?
No, he got fired. I didn't even know if he lasted a season with the Cavs. That was just so dumb. But hey, if Jawan wants to hit another coach, maybe they'll bring Beeline back, right? I saw someone say we should have a Jawan Howard versus Will Smith slapboxing pay-per-view. What do you think?
I'd pay for it.
Count me in on that. So 4 coaches left. Let's just, for fun, rank the coaches in terms of everything. 4 coaches left.
Okay, Jay Wright's number 1 in
It's not even
everything.
close. Jay Wright's an actual coach, unlike Coach K, who's a loser.
I think I would probably go Bill Self second, even though he's apparently can't coach teams in the tournament very well, but
and he has his team use
won.
fake motivation.
Yeah, what is up with that?
I guess people said that they weren't athletic enough last year when they lost, but that's just BS analysts, quote unquote, just jumping to conclusions and using like a trigger. Oh, they're not athletic enough. That's why they lost to USC. No, they lost to USC because USC had a bona fide lottery pick, one of the best players in the country, and they were just bigger and better last year. It's dumb. So then Christian Brown's like, oh, we're not athletic enough. Shut up, you're Kansas. Shut the hell up. You've owned the Big 12 forever. You haven't won a national title since like a billion years ago. And now you're acting like, oh, we got to get this fake motivation to win. You also played a 10 seed. Get over yourself. And a fraudulent 4 seed. Kansas with by far the easiest route to get there. Not even close.
Oh, yeah.
Not even close. It's embarrassing. They should be embarrassed. I hope Villanova beats them by 30. The easy ranking is Jay Wright 1, Bill Self 2, Hubert Davis 3, and John Shire 4.
Correct.
That's the easiest one.
Yep.
So, I mean, what can you do, right? It's a tough one. I think that I would take Jay Wright over any of these coaches ever for any reason ever because he's a real coach. He actually inherited a program that wasn't in a great spot for a few years that he was there too. I think people wanted to get rid of him. But, hey, they have not lost since February 22nd against UConn. So that's something to think about.
Yeah.
Was that the game where – did Hurley get thrown out in that game? I don't remember.
He might have.
Either way, I'm surprised Villanova's gotten this far because they play 6 guys. They won the Big East tournament. So they've played a lot of basketball, but I guess, it's working, right?
Yep.
What do you think is the most important player left on any of the 4 teams? Like what player needs to play well for this team to win? Because I don't think you can really say Colin Gillespie with this because he wasn't good against Houston.
Yeah. I would say either Agbaje. Like you said, the first half he acted like he'd never played basketball before. Or I'd say Manic. Or the two. I think everybody has to play good for North Carolina, honestly. The 2 guards have to play
at least
well.
One of them. At least Caleb Love
Yeah.
or RJ Davis has to do something.
Yeah. So as far as Duke, who cares? Right?
David McCormick needs to do what Hunter Dickinson didn't do against Villanova, which is be more efficient and score.
Yeah.
But I think Eric Dixon can put a body on him. He's only 6'8", but he's got a big body. So
yeah,
I think he could be a factor there. I think another big matchup here is how does North Carolina approach Bonchero? Like if Bonchero's in the game at the same time as Mark Williams, do you go Baycott against Williams and then Manic against Bonchero? I think
so. Like you have to.
That'd be interesting to see. I mean,
Manic's the only one that's long enough to guard him, I believe.
I mean, I think Duke runs a lot of Bonchero at the 5 stuff too.
Yeah.
And Baycott's 6'10", Manic 6'9". They also have Leaky Black 6'8", so they got the size for
That's
sure.
That's true. Yeah, I forget about Leaky Black. And Leaky Black can play some defense.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see how John Shire approaches his lineups in this game as the head coach of Duke.
Are we talking about the Final Four here? I thought we weren't.
No, I'm just giving people a little taste.
Okay. All right.
You gotta ingest a lot of the information.
Okay. I just double checking what we're doing. Just
we'll
make sure we stay on the whatever we're on. We're not really on anything.
Who's the favorite to win the title now?
Spitballing.
Kansas?
I think so.
Okay.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
So what's the Final Four next year? Go.
Next year's Final Four is going to be Arkansas, Gonzaga. John Shire is going to take Duke and Illinois.
All right. Sounds good to me. Illinois beats Duke by 40. Arkansas beats Gonzaga by 20. Illinois beats Arkansas by 50. Boom, we're back. But all right, that'll do it for us. This Friday, we'll talk more in depth about the Final Four, get into the matchups, the nitty gritty, the numbers, what they say, what they don't say. I want it to be known that I did pick all 4 Elite Eight games correctly. I have proof of that from my Twitter live stream before the games. So 100% on the money. I think a lot of people should not bet against Jay Wright and Colin Gillespie ever. But I think if you're going to do it, doing it against Kansas might be a good idea. But
Just trying to see who the favorites are. Looks like
I would guess it would go with Kansas, Duke, Villanova, North
it
Carolina.
actually goes Duke, Kansas.
Oh, please give me a break.
Villanova, North Carolina. Duke is plus 144 to plus 160. Kansas is plus 170 to plus 190. So
they really liked what John Shire's done at Duke this season.
Villanova plus 450 to plus 500, and North Carolina plus 475 to plus 550. So
we'll see if John
There
Shire
you
can
go.
get it done in his first season at Duke as the head coach. So we'll see how it goes. We'll preview the matchups more in depth on Friday, and we'll probably make 100% accurate picks. So we'll see you Friday.
true.